Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, this is Susie Shannon, and I'm the Policy Director for Housing as a Human Right. And we are going to hear comments today from elected officials and community partners regarding SB10. Housing as a Human Right ran a campaign opposing SB 9 and 10 due to a lack of affordable housing and homeless housing. Both bills passed the state legislature and were signed by the governor. Here to speak about the lawsuit filed on the unconstitutionality of SB10 is the president of AIDS Healthcare Foundation, a global nonprofit that provides life-saving healthcare, affordable housing, and food for health for underserved communities. Please welcome Michael Weinstein.
Well, welcome everyone. Can we turn the light down? That seems to be washing us out.
It's blowing it out.
I don't know if we can. Oh yes, I can. Hang on.
And turn off the light. Well, you need something to be so much better.
Great. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Weinstein, and I'm the president of AIDS Healthcare Foundation. And we're here today to announce a lawsuit against the state of California to declare SB10 unconstitutional. Is there a problem? Sorry. Good. So for now 110 years, we've had initiatives in California, and many, many attempts have been made to abridge that right, to abridge the right of the people of California to enact laws or to repeal laws. And once again, this is an attempt to do that. What's so outrageous about this is that not only does it potentially prevent initiatives from being enacted and then being annulled, but it goes back in time as well. So we're quite confident that this will be ruled unconstitutional. On the substance of the matter, we've got to stop having one-size-fits-all solutions. Both of the housing committees in the Assembly and the Senate are headed by representatives from San Francisco. San Francisco is a highly concentrated place and has many fewer single-family homes, and that's a standard that's being imposed on all of California. And the reality is that we don't have a shortage of luxury housing. We have a shortage of affordable housing, and neither of these bills address that in any way, shape, or form. And this was enacted despite the fact that, and I'm sure it will be addressed by Councilman Karentz, the fact that the overwhelming majority of the Los Angeles City Council voted to oppose this legislation, and in polling by a renowned pollster, we found that 75%, Susie, of people who were opposed, 75% of the electorate in California were against this. And at the end of the day, it seems that the only constituency that counts in Sacramento is big real estate. And so this is another effort by big real estate to pilfer the people of California.
Thank you. Next up, I'm going to introduce Paul Karentz. Paul Karentz is the Los Angeles City Council member for Council District 5. He has led the opposition to legislation on single-family rezoning, and he led the charge at the Los Angeles City Council, the opposition of SB 9 and 10. It is my honor to present Councilmember Paul Karentz.
Well, thank you, Susie, and thank you to the AIDS Healthcare Foundation and Housing as a Human Right, and everyone who's come to join us today together, including my partners and colleagues who have been standing together warning of the dangers of SB 9 and SB 10. As Susie mentioned, SB 9 and 10 passed through the California legislature and was signed by the governor, even though they were both wildly unpopular. And in fact, surveys showed that 71% of the voters opposed SB 9, but an even stronger 75% opposed to SB10. I've been leading the charge here in Los Angeles to daylight the underlying dangers of these carefully marketed bills. And my colleagues and I on the Los Angeles City Council, representing the largest city in the state, voted overwhelmingly to oppose both of them. But it seems the legislature and the governor bought into the rhetoric. Quite frankly, this is not a question of ideology. These well-marketed bills are very tricky and quite damaging policies that were sold to the public as tools to help affordable housing and the environment. And yet, when and if they're implemented, they would definitely do exactly the opposite. They kill communities, only making developers and investors rich, while renters and homeowners alike will be decimated by trickle-down real estate economics. And don't get me started on the terrible environmental impacts. But today we're just here to talk about SB10. At its core, SB10 allows developers to knock down single-family homes to allow them to build up to 10 units of market-rate luxury housing, pricing people out of their own neighborhoods. SB10 does not require even 1 unit of affordable housing or homeless housing, and will not address the homelessness or affordable housing crisis facing California and the city of Los Angeles. And now it turns out that it's likely to be unconstitutional. The lawsuit that was filed yesterday by the AIDS Healthcare Foundation will hopefully invalidate the legislation so we can work on the real priority, housing production that will help 161 people who are homeless in the state of California, 40,000 plus who are homeless in the city of Los Angeles. And we look forward to the opportunity to work together with the legislature to actually focus on that real critical priority. Just like the legislature and the governor ignored the majority of voters in California in signing this overreaching collection of loopholes, it now creates a top-down workaround the will of the voters. And that just can't stand. We won't stand for it. They can't supplant voter-approved initiatives. And so we are here to announce this legal action and the likelihood that it will prevail.
Great, thank you, Paul. Next up, we're going to bring up Michael Lawson on Zoom. Okay, Michael Lawson is the president of the LA Urban League, a civil rights organization working to level the playing field for Black communities in Los Angeles. Michael, can you hear us? Oh, you have to unmute. Okay, we just have a few technical difficulties. One moment.
Our communities.
Oh, Michael, Michael,
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you start over again because we had some technical difficulties and we couldn't hear you.
Michael Lawson, President and CEO of the Los Angeles Urban League. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, thanks.
Okay, great. I am here to have my voice heard with respect to SB10. SB10 is not going to do anything to help the issues that we've been trying to deal with in our communities. And in fact, it is basically a birthday present to the developers. There is no plan, no organization, no template that will, where you can draw the line between SB10 and dealing with the issues that confront and befuddle our communities. This is not going to, the Urban League has always been about economic opportunity for our communities, and this is going to move our communities in the opposite direction. It is, again, a gift to the developers. it will not in any way, shape, or form address the issues that we have been asking our elected officials to try to address for the last 10, 15 years. We have seen the homelessness situation is something that we foresaw 10 years ago, and it continues to get worse and worse, and there's been no one who's been willing to step up and talk about what needs to be done in order to address these issues. SB10 is not the solution. It is in fact part of the problem. And I hope that we are able to prove that it is unconstitutional, regardless of whether it is unconstitutional. It is not. It is unhelpful. Unhelpful is the wrong word. It is decimate. It is devastating and will decimate our communities, because it will, as was said by Michael Weinstein earlier, this is not a bill that will help increase the stock of affordable housing. By no means is that something that this will do. It is, again, a gift to the developers who have no interest in trying to address the ills of the communities that we're trying to serve, the communities that we're trying to lift up, the communities that we're trying to bring into the middle class and upper class.
Great, thank you so much. Next up we have Madeline Barber. Madeline is a town council member for the city of Altadena. Her op-ed opposing SB9 and 10 and Cal Matters went viral across the state of California. Please welcome Madeline Barber.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Madeline Barber. I'm an operations specialist for Housing as a Human Right. And as Susie mentioned, I'm also an elected official serving the Altadena Town Council and Land Use Committee. But most importantly, I'm a Black homeowner, mother, and grandmother. I'd like to begin by reminding ourselves that to escape Jim Crow during the Great Migration, many Black families came to California for better jobs and better lives. We should remember that we've been in situations where we've been expelled from our lands, homes, and communities before. SB10 is a wolf in sheep's clothing, a threat, and it will not resolve the housing crisis and homelessness of families of color. And it will suffer, and our families of color will suffer collateral damage for decades to come. For many Black families that migrated from the South, our stories are the same. We understood that one of our only options to build generational wealth for our families was through homeownership. Our homes are our sanctuaries, and also places we know we can always return to when and if our path to economic stability takes a detour. In some instances, keeping people housed when otherwise they would be unhoused. Even with the slight amendments, SB10 opens the door wide to developers, many of whom are regular campaign contributors to local and state politicians. They take no consideration of the people who are living in these communities, or the generational displacement, or the environmental impact of dense housing. The housing we seek to build is not affordable, it is luxury. The housing they seek to build is not affordable, it is luxury. The agenda is to price out the middle and working class residents through gentrification, and in its place create lifelong renters who have little to no economic stability. In other words, permanent renters. I like to share that my own household includes 3 generations, and this is simply because my husband and I refuse to allow our son to start his own family by paying rent that's at least 3 times the amount of a mortgage. He'll never get ahead that way. He'll never be able to afford, he'll never be able to save that elusive down payment for his own home. We need more Black homeowners and homeowners of color, not more renters. We need more first-time buyer programs for middle and working class families to help with that elusive down payment, to level the field for us just a little bit. We also need increased fair housing and tenant legislations to fend out predatory and fraudulent behavior, because we all know that sometimes once you get a house, it's not that easy to keep it. I agree wholeheartedly that we need more housing. I don't think anyone disputes that. I echo the sentiment that we hear from coast to coast across this country that the rent is just too damn high. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. I'd like to bring up next Maria Pavlou-Calvan. Maria is the founder of United Neighbors and a board member of the Sherman Oaks Homeowners Association and has been a staunch opposer of both SB 9 and 10.
Thank you, Susie. United Neighbors is a statewide coalition of neighborhood renter and homeowner groups. We formed this coalition one neighborhood group at a time until we became statewide. We have a lot of dedicated people who work tirelessly to be heard in Sacramento. We were fighting not only Sacramento's relentless attempt at ending single-family neighborhoods, but their attempts to diminish our input on what gets built in our communities and ignoring our environmental and infrastructure concerns, and most importantly, not addressing the real crisis of housing affordability. Single-family neighborhoods have been targeted for more density for the benefit of land investment companies that have their sights on the money-making potential of our homes. These companies are global and have caused many countries around the world to limit their reach by passing laws restricting their ability to purchase vast numbers of family homes for speculative investment. California, the 5th largest economy in the world, passes laws like SB 9 and 10 that help these investors profit in our neighborhoods. After months of us reaching out to our senators and assembly members, we were basically ignored. All of us need to be motivated and activated to fight the state takeover of our neighborhoods. There are solutions to producing affordable housing in all our communities, but Sacramento needs the political will to solve the crisis correctly, and opening up single-family neighborhoods is not the answer. Looking at our vast, underutilized commercial areas is where we should start. We support efforts like this one today because Sacramento isn't listening to any of us any longer. Thank you.
Thank you.